Hello everybody and welcome back to Custom Camry. In today's episode we're going to be hopping in the back of the trunk to make some custom subwoofers. And just like last episode, we're now going to be installing the rear brakes from Wilwood. So let's get to it. Alright, let's start off with the custom subwoofers. I bought somewhere around 20 to 22 pieces of wood per side, and all I did was stack each piece of wood on top of another till I reached a certain height I needed to get to fit the subwoofers in. And I'll go ahead and show you on how I got these woods cut out and got the subwoofers in place. Alright, to make these exact cuts, the first piece of wood is usually the toughest because that's where you're making your first original shape. So you gotta make constant cuts and sand downs till you finally get the exact size you want. So after the first one, then that's when the second, third, and so on and so forth starts becoming a little bit easier because all you have to do is trace it. And then if there is a little shape that might be poking out a little bit more, then you cut more. Or if there's a little shape that you know could be added into, then you don't cut too much of the piece of wood, you let it sit more inside. Here's a little example of a spot that could be a little bit more in, so you need to give yourself some extra wood for the next piece. I mark a line to where I know it needs to be perfectly matched to the previous wood, and then I draw an arrow so I know that I need to give it extra room to fill in those gaps. And then I just make sure I look over the others. You make your trace that you know you're gonna have exactly the same match as the previous wood, and then that part where you know you're gonna poke out more, then you go ahead and draw out some extra slack so you don't cut too much extra wood. And then it makes a nice form fitting. Once you have your wood stenciled out for the next piece to be cut, to make good, accurate, clean cuts, use your jigsaw. After you got all your pieces cut out, you're gonna go ahead and cut the inner part where the subwoofer is gonna sit. This is very simple. You do exactly what you did before, just trace everything out and cut with the jigsaw. As soon as you got everything cut in pieces to the way you want it and numbered, you're gonna go ahead and glue and clamp them all down. What I also do for extra support is I nailed and screwed them down as well. As you can see, the process is tedious. Glue has to dry, so it takes a while, but you will end up getting it to look like this. But as you can see, there's still a lot more pieces that need to be done and glued and clamped together. And here's a close-up of the end result. For inside of the boxes where the subwoofers will be sitting, I use polyurethane as a sealant. I used around 7 coats till I was finally satisfied with the amount that I needed. Once both boxes are completed, we're going to use carpet for cars that I got from Amazon and Gorilla adhesive glue to attach it to the box. Make sure you have enough carpet to cover the box and see if it'll cover it fully. Just spray both the box and the carpet itself to get a good, nice seal. Once you have the glue pressed against the box, set it down where it has weight so it can dry in place. And also when you start working on the corners, just work on one side at a time and cut as needed. It's going to be a little tedious, but you can get it done easily. After gluing all the carpet to the box and getting everything precise, your boxes should be looking from this to that. Keep in mind that these boxes are very tedious, waiting for glue to dry. The final process before installing your speakers to the box is cutting out your holes for your speaker wires. Don't forget to seal it and cut off any excess before you get it to look like this.
You think that cause I'm a Pisces, kick it to the face so you don't miss the bottom of my high top Nikes. Fucking with my crew, I can promise you that I'll take that shit too lightly. I can guarantee that there is no one out here doing like me. Hate one tree, let me with no restrictions, none that can go the distance. If you don't let me finish what I have to say, then it ends up missing. You talk, I listen. Listen, it isn't always will be my position like a limited edition. There's no problem starting this shit when you know that I'm the ignition. Can't name a place and just pick a time, it could be under any condition. I done had some hard times, I done thought I couldn't take. I was out here in a panic, couldn't let him see my face. But a nigga kept grinding, now I'm in a better state. Yeah, I'm a type of nigga that is scared to pull up. Pump stay in the front, trunk be full of them drugs. I smile right in your face, then pull that thing out and bust. I'm just a quiet, cute nigga that your ass shouldn't trust, boy.
Alright, let's talk about the rear brakes. We're going to be removing all of our stock rotors, brake pads, calipers, and brake lines and installing new Wilwood brakes. The custom brackets for this install is made from fastbrakes.com. The rear brake system that we're going to be installing is very similar to the front brakes that we installed in the last episode. At this point, we're going to be installing the bolts and washers to the two-piece rotors, and the way you'll be installing these bolts is in a cross pattern, the same way you will be installing your lug nuts to your wheels. After hand tightening each bolt, you're going to remove one bolt at a time to apply Loctite. After applying Loctite, you can go ahead and torque down each bolt to its specs. Don't forget to keep using the cross method as you're tightening it down. After tightening down all the bolts to its specs, just flip it over and verify that they're all even. Before we can install our new brake system, we're going to have to remove our stock brakes. And the first thing we're going to do is remove this bolt and this bolt back here. The first bolt I pointed at, there's a top and bottom bolt that you're going to have to remove the caliper itself. Once we get the caliper loose, we can go ahead and set it to the side and focus on the bracket that's holding on to the brake line. Once you got that piece removed, you can go ahead and set the whole caliper to the side, and we're going to focus on the bracket that was holding onto the caliper. The big bolt that I pointed out earlier is up top, and there's also another one in the bottom that you're going to be removing. After removing the bracket that's also holding the brake pads, we can also remove our rotor. Now this was the first problem I was running into, where the dust shield doesn't come off as easily as the last episode where the front shields had only 4 bolts attached to it and they popped off. These we're gonna have to just bend forward until it clears enough space for the 2-piece rotor set to fit through. If you think you made enough space for the rotor to fit, just go ahead and place it in there, push it all the way against the back to where you believe it's going to be set, and rotate it. If you see it rubbing against anywhere on the dust shield, then make your adjustments from there. Once our clearance is all good, this is where we go ahead and install our custom bracket. At this point, temporarily add the rotor and the caliper so we can adjust for a perfect fit. This is where we're going to test out the placement of our caliper and rotor. We want to see if there's a bigger gap on one side or the other, and if there is, this is where we adjust our washer space. Here is an overview of how the right side is actually a lot closer to the rotor than the left side. And then this is where we're going to be deciding whether we need to add or remove washers. After removing your bracket, we're going to go ahead and add a few more washers so we can push out the caliper and make it even on both sides to the rotor. Don't forget to just keep on checking to see if the rotor might be possibly grinding on the dust shield. After verifying that your rotor is perfectly centered to your caliper, we're going to go ahead and attach the brake line to the caliper and then attach the caliper to the bracket. At this point, we're going to be switching our brake lines, and to do so, we're going to be removing our stock brake line from the car's hard line. Don't forget to make sure you do this very quickly as it starts to leak on you. Once it's removed, go ahead and quickly switch to the new brake line, and then wipe down any excess brake fluids. After hand tightening it, you're going to go ahead and use your tools to go ahead and tighten it down as much as you can without trying to strip the bolt. After everything is secured and tightened down, you're going to go ahead and place the pin to prevent the line from shaking and vibrating as we're driving. Don't forget to secure our caliper to our bracket. of the whole install, we go ahead and slip the brake pads, and then we're going to also insert the pin to secure the brake pads from falling out. Alright everybody, that's all it takes to install rear brakes. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, and look out for the next future episodes that I'll be making for my custom Camry. Enjoy.